Was built by the Portuguese. They filled it with rainwater. You see, they connected pipes. Ceramic pipes were connected to the roofs to direct water to this spot. And this was their only source of water for cooking, bathing, drinking, washing, and any other domestic purposes. But the same reservoir was never used by the Dutch when they came. Why? Why? Because they thought the Portuguese might have poisoned this one. But no, research has proved that the reservoir was never poisoned. About 400 women at the time were actually kept in these rooms. You see, all the bare entrances were at that time having iron gates, or let's say metal gates. This means they were closed. But the other ones having bars, they were then having metal bars placed vertically and horizontally. So there was no way for the captives to run. Now look at this one.
Entering a female dungeon.
Please can you off the flashlight? Were packed on the same floor some years back. About 300, 350, 400 years back, human beings were sometimes sit on this for 2 weeks before the ships came to take them out. Sometimes 1 month, 2 months before the ships came. This means they were made to sleep on the floor. And whatever happened here, the same thing happened in other dungeons. You know, empty containers were put at the various corners in all the dungeons for the captives to ease themselves in those containers. And the question is, were they fed? Yes, the captives were fed, but something just enough to keep them alive. They came from different tribes, so communication was also a problem. And you agree with me, you know, as women, they also had their menses, they menstruated. And the question is, so those who spent 2 months here, how many times did they do it? This means they might have done it for 2 occasions without a wash. And a woman in her menses without a wash is a different story which is known to women only. That remedy was provided to serve as additional source of ventilation and also light to this particular dungeon, which was also connected to another room called magazine, where arms and also other ammunition were kept. You see, whenever there was any leakage in the magazine, the polluted air simply came straight from the hole to worsen the situation here. You see, naturally, some of the captives fell sick and died. Some also committed suicide. Whenever they found dead body in the dungeon, it is said that they picked the body and dumped in the ocean. That's how they were buried. You see, this same stretch of coast, which was called Gold Coast, was later termed White Man's Grave. And it was termed White Man's Grave because of the rate at which they were dying of tropical diseases, especially malaria. So they never came here with their wives. And because they were not here with their wives, the female captives were sexually abused. Talk about the soldiers, the traders, and also the gardeners. Let me show you this. Wanted to satisfy his last. The governor came and stood at that very balcony. See, the doors were simply open for the women to come out. So that was where he stood select the very person that he wanted. See, after that, the very person that the government selected was then allowed to watch herself now, simply because it could happen that she was in her menses. You see, it became necessary for the person to watch them. So the soldiers took her from the same reservoir. But that captive take a shower. And then take it from here, go to the governor's quarters. So then from here, they go to the governor's quarters. Now, after the act, they brought her back to join her friends. Some of the women became pregnant. So it is that when the ships came, those who were found pregnant were sent to the town. They built stone houses there for set people to stay to deliver. And the children were later brought here for schooling. Another thing, legally some of the Dutch officials who did not want to rape the women, rape the captives, it is that they went to the town and customarily got married to some of the local people in the town, raised children with them, built houses there where they stayed with their wives. And the children were also brought here for schooling. You know, those children had light skin. We could call them mulattoes or half-castes. And they were given European names. They were the first people to be given European names. And because of the color scheme, and also the namesake, they saw themselves to be superior as compared to the African counterparts. Talking about names such as Van der Poel, see Van Dyke, Vieira, Vroom, Brown, De Geer, Bopham, Batters, Johnson, Davison, Simpson, Ferguson, Compson, Tesson, Branson, Jackson, such names. You know, just to mention a few. But then some of the women did not allow themselves to be used. So they were punished to serve as a lesson to the others who were in the dungeons. So out there. But at that time, about 8 of such were here at that time. Yes, as I said. About 8 of such were here. And it is said that the Europeans had chains and also padlocks fitted on them. So the women who proved difficult were brought here. They tied those chains to their ankles. They left them here as a punishment. Yes, that was a punishment, simply to put fear in them, just to break them, also to serve as a deterrent to others who were in the dungeons. Again, this being has not been changed. It's been here for quite a long time, about 250 years. Likewise, this one too. This particular one has also not been changed, but the rest are not original. Most of the materials that they use in building this castle were imported. They brought everything. Even talking about the Portuguese, including those who came to build the castle, they brought them. One thing, the question is, what are these costumes doing here? We brought them here on the 3rd to 4th July 2015, last 3 years, simply because we had an exhibition here. It was reenactment of what we are talking about. 48 volunteers. 48 volunteers accepted to be kept here, so we also agreed to keep them here. And finally, we kept them here for 12 hours without food and so water, just for them to have a feel of the whole thing, just to experience it. And yes, the clothes were used to dress them, to cover their private parts, and so the chains actually used to chain them, held them here for 12 hours, as I told you. And the theme for that exhibition was the return of the slaves, 12 hours in the dungeon. So those volunteers spent 12 hours here without food and water. In the process, some of them defecated here, spat, urinated, did all sorts of things here. Oh no, naturally, not intentionally, because they felt like doing it. In 12 hours, whatever you would do in 12 hours, they also did it here. That's why, because of the situation, some had to spit and they spat. Some felt like easing themselves, and there was no way because the doors were closed. If you were the one, what would you have done? The room of no return. You see, at that time, these iron bars were not here. And again, down there were stairs. There were stairs that they used to go, or that they walked on it, simply to descend to go to the room of royalty. And yes, as the women were going from here, the men were made to use different routes also to go to the same room. And that is where we are now going. Please, any questions so far? Were brought from different parts of Ghana and also different parts of Africa. Let me say that. So they were all not people from then Gold Coast and now Ghana. No. This is because you call Gate of No Return. And look at how provocative the gate is. The captives were made to walk, go through this. So all the captives that used this castle as the entry point used this gate. Longinoshi was at that time closer to the castle, and also the one was much higher than this. Then the ship couldn't come down there. Because this place was not deep enough for the ships. They said that they bet the ships far away from here. The girls were going down there to take the captives from here to the ships, and they sent them to Java, Guyana, Bahamas, Sumatra, Jamaica, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Colombia, Liverpool, Manchester, and other places. Or let's say they spread all over the world. And you know, they cried a lot here because they saw that coming back was far from imagination. So as I said, this was where our ancestors said bye to their continent. And people think they never returned, which I don't agree. So far as the descendants are coming back, it means our ancestors are coming or have come back. And Sankofa, which literally means go back to your roots, will forever be the motto for all the Africans in the diaspora.
The door of no return.